Chapter 6 Fluttershy. My name is Fluttershy. I'm a Pegasus from Ponyville, but I'm not a very strong flyer. I'm in charge of looking after all the woodland animals. I know it seems like a strange job for a Pegasus to have, but it's what I love. About an hour ago, this weird thing came flying down from the sky and crashed into one of the nearby mountains, and my friend, Twilight Sparkle, a unicorn from Canterlot, rounded up me and our friends to go investigate. What we discovered was some sort of metal bug filled with exotic animals and an odd blue pony. Oh, I don't mean he's bad or anything like that. I just mean I've never seen a pony quite like him before. He's totally new. His body looks like a cross between a pony and a skinny minotaur with no mouth, 2 extra eyes, and a scythed tail. Although he seemed friendly and really smart. He seems to like animals too, since he was traveling with 5 creatures who all obeyed him very well. Even I have trouble with bears sometimes. Rainbow still didn't seem to like him, though. She was always shooting him odd looks as we headed back to the town. I hope she wasn't going to be like this to him forever. That would be really bad. I could see the edge of Ponyville up ahead when Aximili, the blue pony, stopped. "Is that your town, Twilight?" he asked. Aximili talked by using something he called thought speech, where he communicates his words directly into your mind. I was a little afraid of it, to be honest. I'm not used to hearing voices in my head. Although, on the other hoof, it is interesting that he evolved the ability to speak without a mouth. "Yep, this is Ponyville," Twilight said proudly. "Now, I'm not sure it's the best idea for you all to just waltz on in. That would not be wise," Axe interrupted Twilight. He turned to the tiger traveling with him, and the two seemed to be having a silent conversation. Did his animals have thought speak as well? It was a few minutes before Axe turned back to Twilight. "Is there somewhere nearby where my pets and I may stay without being interrupted or found?" The bear seemed to give an odd expression at his choice of words. I looked at Twilight, who was giving Axe an equally strange look. "Is there some reason you don't want to be found?" she asked carefully, and I thought I saw her glare at Axe, but she was smiling the rest of the time. "It would cause mass hysteria if we were to accompany you into your town." "Well, ponies do tend to overreact a lot, but once they get to know you, everything will be extra okay," Pinkie said happily. Axe's eye stalks seemed to curve into a confused expression. I guess that's how he shows what he's feeling. "No, I think it would be best if we did not enter town for a while," Axe said slowly, and I thought he had a bit of a nervous edge to his voice. "Aw, is some pony shy?" Pinkie asked, leaning in close to Axe. "You know what the best cure for shyness is? A party!" As she yelled, a bunch of streamers and confetti burst out of Pinkie's mane. Axe eyed her with what looked like disbelief. Even the animals, particularly the gorilla, were taken back by this. "No, I do not think that is the best course to take," Axe finally managed to say. "All we require is someplace inconspicuous and removed from residential areas." Twilight stepped towards Axe, glaring at him with suspicion. "Really, it would just take a moment to clear everything up with the ponies. Then you could come and go as you please." Axe swerved one of his eye stalks over to the tiger again. Now, I was beginning to grow confident in my suspicions that his pets could thought speak as well. Twilight must have thought the same thing, since she stepped over to the tiger and yelled in his face, "Why don't you want to be found?" The tiger was momentarily taken aback by this, but seemed to recover quickly. He looked at Twilight for a moment, and seemed to be pondering something in those intelligent eyes. The others all waited around and watched attentively. "Why do you not trust us?" a new voice said. It had an underlying tone of authority. "So now you want to talk?" Twilight asked, a definite edge to her voice. She was angry, but trying unsuccessfully to hide it. "We had to make sure you were trustworthy individuals," Axe said. "I am sorry, but I was only following Prince Jake's orders," he explained, motioning to the tiger. All of the girls, including me, let out surprised gasps. You're a prince?" Verity asked, her voice quavering. "Axe, I already told you, don't call me Prince," the tiger said. "Yes, Prince Jake." Twilight stepped back from the tiger and bowed. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I had no idea. I looked around as the others bowed as well, and realized I was the only one who wasn't. With a tiny squeak, I quickly bowed too. I think you have the meanings confused. To the Andalites, Prince is... Axe, shut up and let this play out, a third voice said. I didn't know who was talking, since I was still looking at the ground. Finally, we all rose from the ground and looked back at the tiger, who seemed to have an embarrassed look on his face. Pinky was shaking in place, though, knowing her, it was most likely from excitement. Oh my gosh, you're a space pony prince? Are any of the others princes and princesses too? We need to have a really big, super special party for this!
Thanks, but like we said, we prefer to avoid going into your town, the tiger said.
Yeah, and why's that? Rainbow asked. The way you're all acting, I'm starting to think you're fugitives on the run. She landed and pressed her face against the tiger's. What are you hiding? Rainbow, is that really the best idea? I asked. I didn't want us to start fighting again, not after we were just making progress with them. So, are you gonna spill or what? Rainbow said, oblivious to me. The tiger just stared her down, showing not even the slightest hint of intimidation. Rainbow Dash, stop that! Twilight yelled. I looked at her. I'd never seen Twilight so upset before. She looked like she was about to burst into flames. I'm sure they have a very good reason, and I know we'd love to hear it, but tearing at each other's throats isn't going to get us anywhere. Rainbow retreated from the tiger and placed her hoof behind her back. You're right. I'm sorry, Twi, she said reluctantly. Aw, does that mean there won't be any party? Pinky asked sadly. Don't worry, I'm sure we can throw him one later, Applejack said reassuringly. It seemed to cheer up Pinky, who smiled broadly and bounced away. Getting back to the matter at hand, do you have an area we can remain hidden? The tiger asked again. Well, there is the Everfree Forest, on the other side of town, Rarity said. No pony in their right mind would go in there, what with all the dreadful creatures that inhabit it. Sounds perfect! Another new voice, female this time. The bear stepped forward, slapping its front paws together. Hey, there's no way we can get there without being spotted. I can see plenty of, ponies all through town. The tiger, Prince Jake I think he was called, looked up. I followed his gaze to the bird flying above us in a large, lazy circle. Do you mind if we step aside for a moment? He asked calmly. The others nodded in approval, but I could see Rainbow trying to hold back looks of suspicion. Twilight didn't seem all that trusting of them either, but I couldn't really figure out what was going through her mind. Her face was curiously blank of any expression. The five of them headed towards several large boulders and disappeared behind them. Rainbow waited until she was sure they were out of earshot before speaking to us. Now what are they hiding? I don't know about you, but I don't trust them at all. Yes, it's true they are being rather secretive with us, but you did attack them when we first met, Rarity said. I think you're the reason they're not being so open with us. I get the feeling they're not telling us the whole story, Applejack commented. I just know they're hiding something big. Of course they're hiding something big, Pinky said rather loudly. They're weird ponies from space. They've come to stop me from throwing any more parties. They didn't even know you existed before today, Rainbow retorted. I turned away from them as they continued to argue, and walked over to Twilight. She was staring at the ground, lost in her thoughts. You're being awfully quiet, Twilight, I said gently. Twilight jumped at the sound of my voice. Oh my, was I too loud? I'm sorry. It's all right, Fluttershy. I was just thinking about something else. I moved a little bit closer to her and put a hoof on her shoulder. She turned her head towards me, and I flashed her a friendly smile. Twilight smiled back, but I thought she was forcing herself to smile for my sake. I believe we are ready to make our way to our hideaway. The sound of Axe's voice made me give a tiny yell of fright. I turned around to see 5 birds fly out from behind the rock. How did you do that? I asked. Rainbow took to the air, giving a yell. I knew it! They're changelings, all of them! What's a changeling? One of the voices asked. Before any answer could be given, Rainbow shot towards them with her hooves outstretched. Before she could collide with them, however, her wings were engulfed with a purple magic. Rainbow, calm down, Twilight said. I'm pretty sure changelings can't become birds. She looked over at them suspiciously, although this does bring up some questions.
Yes, I'm sure it does.
A peregrine falcon spoke with Prince Jake's voice, none of which we'll be telling you about right now. He was silent before adding, "It's safer for you that way." "Safer for us or you?" Rainbow demanded.
Both.
There was a long and eerie pause before any of us spoke again.
So, which way to this everfree forest again?
"Oh, I'll show you. It's just past my house," I said softly. "I'm coming too. My farm's along the way." I got the feeling that Applejack didn't trust Axe or his friends that much. I didn't blame her at all, but we weren't being the most welcoming ponies in Equestria at the moment. We finally descended the mountain and returned to Ponyville. Several ponies waved to us as we walked by. I smiled and waved back, but Applejack didn't appear to notice any pony else. Axe and the others were flying high above us while still staying within seeing distance. It didn't take us long to get through the town and reach my cottage. I looked up and saw a northern harrier begin to descend towards me.
This is your domicile?
It was Axe. I guess he was the royal speaker for Prince Jake or something like that. "Yes, I know, it's not much, but it's a home."
I meant no ill respect. In fact, I think it is quite fascinating. You have constructed your house perfectly into the tree, while somehow keeping it alive,
Axe said, quite impressed.
It is unlike any I have come across in recent times.
"Oh, well, thank you," I said, as politely as possible.
We will be in the everfree forest. One of us will stop by your home twice a day to keep you updated on our status.
And Fluttershy, no one must know of our presence. And with that, Axe flew off into the sky. I peered closely, but could only make out dim silhouettes of the others. "I don't like it, Sugar Cube," Applejack said after the birds had vanished from sight. "They're hiding something big, and I intend to find out. Even if he is a prince, Princess Celestia deserves to know." "I know what you mean, but how are we going to contact her?" I asked. "Twilight said Spike wasn't feeling too well, the poor dear." Applejack pondered for a moment. "Well, we could always try the normal mail. Or maybe Rainbow Dash could get a message over to her. She can fly pretty fast, you know." "Yes, she can, but do you think she can make it all the way to Canterlot and back in one trip? Oh, she'd be exhausted." "I know, but I think it's worth the risk. I don't trust those shape-shifting folk." I let out a small sigh. "All right, then. Do you think we should tell the others?" "Of course. I do trust Twilight and all of them," Applejack said. "I think we should have a talk with the others in the morning. Without our new friends." I whimpered softly. Applejack isn't usually one to dislike other ponies so easily, so seeing her like this was kind of scary for me. "I guess so. Well, it's getting late," I said, looking up at the sun as it fell beyond the horizon. "I guess I'll see you tomorrow, Applejack." "Yep, good night, Shy," she said, before turning around and making the journey to Sweet Apple Acres.
Okay, so that was Chapter 6 of My Little Pony Morphing is Magic. I didn't read this in one go. You can tell by the mic switch, like, at the very beginning. I may just end up redoing that, in which case it's irrelevant. In fact, I've only been reading for maybe like 15 minutes at most, so I don't see a reason why I couldn't just redo that, because I haven't been reading for very long. But it was a good chapter. There was one part, I think, where where there was no period at the end of the sentence, and there was one part where Applejack said I instead of ah. Say I. No, I'm just being stupid, but yeah. I mean, really, there's nothing to be too critical about. I think the pacing was good, and one problem is that it's often a little bit hard to tell who's who if you, like, if you don't remember who had which morph or whatever from actually reading the series, the original series, Animorphs. Like, if you don't remember what morph Rachel had or what morph Cassie had, it's a little bit awkward. Like, oh wait, but which one is that? And it's kind of hard, especially if you're a fanfic reader like me, who does fanfic readings and puts them on YouTube. It's a little bit hard to know which voice to do. you kind of had to guess, which, you know, I understand that Fluttershy doesn't know which one's talking because she hasn't heard the voice before and the voice hasn't been identified. But you could describe the voice more than just it was female or it was this bird. Because, I mean, you know, not everyone's gonna remember, who had which morph from the actual series, like I said. But really, besides that, there's really no problem with this chapter. I think the pacing was good. Characters didn't feel out of place, and really, it was fine. It was perfectly fine. Wow, I remember in the past I used to be like, kind of like, oh my gosh, it was so good, and now I'm gonna like, it was fine. Yeah, I guess I haven't read this in at least a month, but yeah, I'm kind of just rambling at this point. I'm gonna stop. It was a good chapter. I enjoyed it. I will see you guys next time. Also, I do have a new mic. This isn't my old desktop mic. This is a headset. I just tapped it. I shouldn't have done that. This is a headset though, and it's not as good as the really good headset, but the reason for this is I got a new computer with Windows 8, and for some reason the old new headset, which is really good and sounded amazing, doesn't work on this computer. And then I got a blue snowball, or a snowball, and that didn't work on this computer. So, we figured out the problem was that it was USB attached, and apparently this computer doesn't like USB ports for mics. So we got one that had like separate jacks for a mic and one for the headphones, and it just kind of like, it's dual cord. So, yeah, but hopefully I can get a much better mic in time. But for now, this is me, signing out. Peace!